Good, great. So first thing I'll have you do is if you don't mind, let's take your glasses off. We can just set them on the
Beautiful.
ground there.
Beautiful.
And then if you don't mind, just introduce yourself, your role at Bluewater Maritime School, and then we'll start digging into some of the other good stuff.
Your name was?
Andrew.
Andrew. Well, good morning, Andrew. This is I'm Erick Selva. I work at Bluewater Maritime School here in Jacksonville. It's always a pleasure to have us out here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Pretty much my role is Director of Operations for the school. So I take care of pretty much all the daily needs of the school and all the students that come in, enrollments, all the instructors, making sure that all the instructors' qualifications, because we go by higher standard through the Coast Guard, so we have to make sure that our instructors are certified, that they could teach what they could teach, that they have the abilities to teach. And the daily encounters with all the students from all walks of life is very exciting.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. So I know we'll talk obviously a lot about Bluewater Maritime, but can you share with me a little bit about how did you get into this industry? A little bit of your origin story.
Oh no, absolutely. This is when it comes to life, as I see it, there's I've always had the passion of teaching. I've been teaching since I was 24 years old, back in the military. So I spent 25 years in the service, U.S. Navy. So I was blessed enough to have a wonderful career through the days of the 80s all the way up to the 2000s, So, but it was pretty awesome. I started teaching in the military, and then that just sparked, for me in my case, they said that your biggest, the weakest thing that you are in life, or what you're more afraid of, is going to be your greatest asset if you conquer it.
Yeah.
And for me was being in front of people. And when I went through instructor training school, it was kind of like one of those things that I developed a passion. I couldn't be in front of people, and then next I was in front of thousands of people. So that was pretty good. So, but no, I spent 25 years in the service, maritime industry, U.S. Navy, retired. I went from enlisted to senior enlisted to the officer ranks. So it was a wonderful career. I was in the surface Navy, which this is pretty much the epitaph of what we teach, the surface Navy, all the seamanship and everything else. And I also had a different way that I was a SWCC, which SEALs and SWCS, that's what I used to do for a living. So I was part of the SWCC teams for many years. So it was a blessing.
That's great. And how did you get connected or partner with Bluewater?
Something, it's interesting because I just recently moved from West Palm Beach, and I owned a real estate company and a whole bunch of other stuff. But my passion was always in the maritime industry. I said, wow, if I could actually just, take all my knowledge of so many years and put it to the students. But I didn't have West Palm Beach doesn't have that ability for some reason. Miami has some, but very limited. And when I was looking through, and I said, well, let me see if there's something in the maritime industry. And next thing you know, instructor. I'm like, instructor. So I called the schoolhouse, in those days, about a year ago. I think it was March. And Bluewater is very good at, when they find a prospective instructor, to make sure, because in Bluewater you have to, it's not just the fact that it's not a regular resume. Because you could say that you do something in the resume and you could fill the blanks, but here you have to be able to be in a managerial position and certified in those positions, because it goes through the Coast Guard, so you could get certified as an instructor, Coast Guard certificate, right? So Bluewater does a very good job at. So you have to bring your service record. I brought 25 years of my service record, and then they say, okay, you could possibly teach this, and then they submit it to the Coast Guard, and then the Coast Guard approves you to specifically teach some of those trainings lessons.
Yeah.
So, but it was awesome. I came in and applied for the job, came as an instructor, and about 2 months later, a position opened for the director of operations, and I was selected. And it's been awesome since.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yes, absolutely.
I lived in West Palm Beach for about 5 years. I went to college at Palm Beach Atlantic University,
yeah.
and then got hired by the university. So I worked there for a little bit after I graduated too. So West Palm Beach has changed a lot since I was in college there, but it still is like
The
near
growth.
and dear to the heart.
Yeah, I was by Wellington, that sector out there.
Yeah, we were right in the downtown, and I went down to visit not too long a couple of years ago, I guess now. I was like, this is very, very different.
Yeah. No, the growth, especially in the real estate industry, everybody's migrating north.
Yep.
They say follow the money, so it's going north.
Yeah.
And as you could tell, St. John's is like number one in school districts and everything else. So everybody's trying to, from the north down to
trying to get.
so yeah, it's a big migration.
Yeah. Well, good. Thanks for sharing that. So now we'll talk specifically.
Yeah.
And most of these answers, there might be some that you could say like really specific things, but generally, if you think like broad, like bird's eye view type of things, that generally becomes the better like evergreen content. Because things change. Some things will never change, but some things, so if we can stay evergreen, broad, that tends to be better answers. So, so first couple questions here, we'll talk about like the mission, the goals of Bluewater, and then we'll talk some of those, who do you serve, how do you serve them? So, so early question, easy question, hopefully. What is a Bluewater Maritime School?
Well, so Bluewater was founded and established back in 1998. And Bluewater is a school that provides basic and advanced training for maritime, in the maritime industry, merchant mariners to get the merchant mariner credentials. So we provide pretty much all that facet, all the way from a person that doesn't know anything, from they've heard, and most of the students that we got, somebody in their family was a merchant mariner, and they decided to talk to their nephew, grandchildren, whatever, and they said, hey, maybe you should try this, and next thing you know, they come in. And we also have captains of ships, captains from fishing vessels that would like to get their OUPV license. So we train them too. So all the way from basic all the way to advanced trainings. That's what we do.
And I would imagine, and forgive me if it's an obvious question, but it's a blend of classroom training and
practical practical applications.
Right.
Absolutely. So we have, of course, with every school you have the academic portion, where you teach lesson plans and PowerPoints, and you're trying to convey, everything to the students, but then they have the practical applications, and we go from practical application all the way from the basics of you've never stepped foot on a ship, and the ship has a totally different language. I always say the first day in the school is just absorb, but as soon as you walk that second day, now we have the bow, we have the stern, we have the port side, we have the deck, we have the overhead, and then they go to the point of they don't know how to tie a knot, to here's a square knot, here's the bowline, this is what you would expect in order to basically function in a ship.
Well, that's really great. And where do you, I guess, and maybe but where have your students gone on to serve might not be the right phrase, but where have your students gone on once they graduate from
Oh,
Bluewater?
wow.
Where are they? What areas of the world are they going?
Oh, I see them every single day because sometimes they start in the basics and then they come back to get advanced training. And we always ask them, hey, how much are you making? Are you making what you thought it was going to be? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So where have you been? Oh, I serve in international waters, so they could go all the way up anywhere in the world. I mean, I've seen all the way, somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Suez Canal, the encounters through there. Then they go, oh no, I'm in the Great Lakes. Oh wow, so you're in the Great Lakes. Oh no, I've been all over by Philippines and the South China Sea and that sector.
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
no, it's amazing.
Do you know how many students have school was started in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many students you guys have taught in that time?
I could tell you in a year it's about 2,500 students.
Wow.
Yeah, 2,500 to between 1,500 and 2,500
Wow.
students
Now,
a year.
I don't know. Do you know, is that like from your competitors or other schools that are in the same space? Is that more? Is that average? Do you know where that stands?
It is pretty much average, but what I've seen is that just this week alone, I get phone calls every single day from different type of students, and I get students from Puerto Rico, from the Caribbean, from Africa, all the way up north. So it's not just, it seems like instead of being focused now just in Jacksonville, it's expanding. So now we're in Jacksonville, but we deal with South Florida, we deal with the entire Florida. So and then we have Georgia, that people come in, drive all the way from Georgia to take classes here. So it's expanding, but the majority of the students are here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, wonderful. And then, could you share, what would you say are some of like the core values that you have as a school? What are some of those values that you say, you're a student, you're going to experience these things from us as a leadership team?
Well, I could tell you that we try it every single day. The professionalism has to be there, and you have to have passion in what you're doing. So you have to have compassion. So, and empathy towards everybody that comes in, because not everybody comes from different financial means and educational levels. So, and I could tell you that one of the things that I really, really admire from this company is that we've helped people that are even living in the streets, and that they had to come in and they were sleeping out in the streets and they were coming and taking classes, and then we tried to help them out with all their credentials and everything else and do whatever we have to do. So, and you have to have that, it's not just a lot of what I think that will separate Bluewater from everybody else. And we're not just a school that provides training and it goes beyond that, because a lot of people focus, it's all about money. Yeah. You're just plucking paper and it's just a student, but it goes beyond that from the very beginning that the person walks in. So a good instructor, and I could tell you that my instructors, I love them because they're the best. I've seen their credentials, I've seen what they're capable, I've seen what they do. So, and I know that everybody feels the same. They look at their students. Just because the mere fact that you could teach is not teach. It's how does the student learn? So each and everybody takes time, whether they're in a break. I tell all the students, and all my instructors tell them the same things. If you are not understanding something, stop us. Stop me. I'm in my office. Sometimes I'm teaching. But if you don't understand something or you have a question, just come down and stop us. We'll stop everything that we do to just give you a hand and make you understand. And if we have to take extra time to come down, and we've had some people with, I'm not venture to say disabilities, but they're slower.
Yeah.
And we sit down with them. On a test, we sit down and talk the test through them so they could understand and start, and they take the test and then they pass, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think you've answered this, but what is there maybe a primary focus or a goal that you have for each of those students that come into your school? Is there a primary goal you have for them?
Well, something, it's the goal, first of all, is to be a maritime professional. Okay? And with everything in life, it takes re-educating. Because things that happen on ships, they have a certain way that they do things. So we have to reteach everything to them so they could conform with being on board of a ship. And that goes from the basics of you have to be here on time. You're going to be working. You're going to work 8 hours, maybe 10 hours. Professionalism. Know your skill. As you could tell, we just had not too long ago one of the ships that pretty much hit one of the bridges. So that could go from basic training. Was it a training? Was it a mechanical? And all revolves on the one person. It's a person behind it. Mechanicals could fail, but before all that happens, somebody was checking something. So it could be a costly evolution, if you don't get trained correctly. So we have to give them that basic fundamentals of this was your life before you were seeking to get a new career path. So this is how you have to do it. Yeah. And we start all the way from the basics. It's not just lessons and practical application. Is an entire way of talking, an entire way of language that ships have. You're no longer going to be saying this is the floor, it's a deck, and that's not a mop, it's a swab. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of thinking along the lines of more of like the people that you're serving now. So let's start talking about some of those students. What and we mentioned it in the beginning, of potentially like some family members kind of encouraging them to do this, but what do you find are some of the obstacles that those students have had to starting school or making the choice of starting this new career path?
Well, it ranges all the way from the financial means. I mean, literally, and I could tell you that the management in Bluewater, the owners, Susan and Ivan, they're superb. Their empathy. They're always so concerned about the students and possibly doing specials and to make sure that people could actually afford. And we could actually say that the school, if I'm not mistaken, after doing research, we're the lowest price school with the highest credential of instructors. So they could go anywhere else, but this is going to be the most inexpensive school that you're going to be able to be getting your career started. So to go back, and I've lost my train of thought.
That's
But
okay. Yeah.
So I was heading towards one way, and I totally forgot.
All good. It's an open,
But
live conversation, right?
But no, it's So with I was telling you about the owners. The owners, it's the challenges that we have is primarily, I may venture to say, to get back on track, is the financial side. Some people cannot afford $1,850 to do 3 weeks. They're living to paycheck. Some of them don't have it. Some of them are. We've had uncles, fathers, grandfathers, neighbors, people that just say, "I'll pay for your school," you know, to the point of, you know. So we see that on a daily basis. It's, and of course you have the people with the means, and then we're talking about, okay, we all make mistakes in life, you know, and we even have challenges with people who have made mistakes in the past, and this is a career that you don't have to be even 18. You could actually be 16 with parental consent and get a job as a merchant mariner. So we've had people that have been in, you know, prison and everything else, but that does not negate them getting a job. Yeah. Okay, this is a very lucrative. This is, I think, the best kept secret. That's what I always say. It's like I never thought, you know, because a lot of people shy in a negative way when, you know, oh, somebody, oh, he's meant to. That's irrelevant to the person that they want to become, you know. So this school gives that opportunity to everybody, and and on top of that, it's a very lucrative, well-paying, you know, positions that they have. So we're serving the economy too. Yeah. You know, we're serving Jacksonville, the economic. You know, I see. I can't even tell you because I'm into cars. So as soon as they come back, they're saying, oh, you know, I'm gonna buy myself the Challenger with a Hellcat engine. You know. What? And next thing you know, they're coming in with, you know, with a Hellcat out. Hey, there you go. You know, or they're buying a house, which helps the economic, you know, economy of the actual, you know, region. Yeah. You know, you're talking about nowadays, you know, you only need 10% with an FHA loan to get a house. Yeah. They make that in the first time that they go out. So they could actually purchase a house. Things that they will probably not even been in their dream, you know, and we help doing that. So it is. I mean, how can you not come to work smiling?
That's so true. That's fantastic. So, you know what, and you've answered this, but I'll ask it again this slightly different way. What do you want your students to expect or anticipate when they start taking classes with you?
Expect to be treated just like your new career. We're going to expect you to be on time, be professional, make sure that you're asking questions, make sure that if you don't understand something, bring it to the attention of one of the instructors. Be prepared to get what we call information constipation. Because it's like learning through a fire hose, because it's a totally different language, but we understand that. So be sure that you're going to be treated with respect, dignity, empathy, all of those. That's something that we, every single day, we preach that. So yeah, and be ready to have fun. Great. Because if you're not having fun, you know, it's not worth it. Yeah. You know.
Fantastic. So the last few questions, we'll kind of talk about the actual courses and maybe some of the what the some of the nuances of that are, right? So you know, this is probably a very loaded question. So feel free to answer in a broad way, but what courses do you offer at Bluewater Maritime?
Oh my goodness!
It's alphabetical. And I'll have you put, if you don't mind, we'll put the paper down if you want.
Yeah, sure.
You talk with your hands like I do.
Yeah. Hey, I'm part Italian too. So pretty much in Bluewater, I mean, we go all the way, like I said before, the basics of maritime industry. So the OS Ordinary Seaman course, which is the basic, people come in, it's a 3-week course. It could be a 3-week or it could be a 6-week. So we try to cater, there's two types of students. There's the students that have time, that they're unemployed, so they could actually come to class during the day. And in that case, it's 3 weeks. So Ordinary Seaman course, 3 weeks, boom, 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 boom. They go through everything in that course. They have firefighting. They have first aid. They get certified to be pretty much firefighters for ships. Because, of course, there's no firefighters on board ships. So the crew, that's what they do. So then first aid, somebody gets hurt. So they get actually a certificate of first aid, when they come through the course. They go through RFB&W, which is a course that designs so they could stand watches on board the ship. They could steer ships. And we have a state-of-the-art simulator that if you're paying attention, you're going to get seasick because it feels like the entire everything is moving.
Cool.
So we're teaching all these courses. So it's like from basic firefighting. You're talking about first aid. We're talking about OUPV, which is for the captains who would like to take people on fishing vessels so they could fish around. They get the OUPV credentials. So we teach those. We teach radar classes. Now we have a new system that we're doing steward classes. Steward is people who would like to be the cooks on board the ships, and that's a new curriculum that we have, which encompasses also rigging on board the ships. We have OSHA classes. So I'm one of the certified OSHA instructors and train the trainers. So we teach the entire gamma OSHA classes. So just to name the least. So just a little brief synopsis of all the classes that we teach.
That's amazing. And so
Able-bodied seaman.
Oh, good.
Able-bodied seaman, which is advanced. You start as an OS, then able-bodied seaman. We go there to recertifications, revalidations, people that are already seasoned that they need to revalidate or do everything recertified. So we teach all of that. So it's constant. We have the OS students, the AB students, the people who are there getting revalidations, recertifications, captains that want to have it. So it's all over the place.
That's amazing. How many classes just this week? How many classes do you have right now that are like open right now?
Oh, well, right now the OS class is closed because it's full. Our class, so our classrooms we have 7 classrooms of 24 students each. So right now we're full in the OS classes. So now we're starting now into the next month of October. So October already has some classes that have 22 students. Some of them have 18. So there's still openings, for people who would like to do it. AB classes, we always have them. The nighttime classes, so a student could come if they don't have work and they want to go through the day and do, I want to go to school during the day, that's 3 weeks. But we understand that some folks are working during the day. So we start classes at 6 to 10. So it's 4 hours instead of 8 hours, but it's twice as long. So it's 6 weeks. But they still, once they finish with that, they graduate, they do the entire same thing. So it's the same course, only at nighttime, but it's longer because it's only 4 hours a night. So we have instructors that teach actually at night, from 6 to 10.
That's great. And so, from your personal opinion, why should someone become a merchant marine?
Wow. First of all, as a merchant marine is a very lucrative, high-paying job. For a person who would like to come down and says, something, I'm a manual person, I would like to do things, I would like to get some money, I would like to see the world, have benefits. They have union, and then they have regular, so there's benefits. They don't have to worry about food because ships, they eat pretty well. They sleep in a nice cabin, so and you save all this money. And depending on where you go in the world, I mean, if you cross, sometimes we have ships, through MSCs that actually, when you cross a war zone and they're aiding in the military or NATO countries, they could actually get the status of no taxes through their income. So you could purchase a house, you could help your family, you could buy your dream car, you could do whatever you want and still as a professional. I see students coming out every single day. You see them coming in and you know that they've been beat down by society, by everything that is going on, and they don't have hope. And next thing you know, they graduate and you could actually see them walking straight, talking much better. They have hope. They have dreams. They have nows. They have gotten something tangible that they could do something with their life. And it's something that you cannot put a price to it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And then maybe three last questions here. Just three for you right now is what once a student graduates, you shared a lot of that kind of ongoing conversations and stuff, but do you at Bluewater, do you offer, like, what's that support look like once they graduate? Is it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Once you're Bluewater alumni, what we call them, they have ultimate support. So they could come in and just walk in and say, "Oh, I'm a ex Blue. What's going on?" And we help them out with their MMC credentials. So we literally sit down with them. We notarize everything, all the credentials, look through all their documents, because now you have to send the credentials in two different ways. You have to send the medical application, you have to send it to a different location than the MMC application. So we sit down with them. Now we're charging $70 to do that. But in the past, people used to do it themselves, pay $40 to UPS to try to put everything together. So there was a lot of errors in the past. So now they sit down with us, and once they sit down with us, we send everything to the Coast Guard. All their credentials, all their medical, everything is done perfect. We give them copies. We give them a list of, this is all the employers that are actually hiring. We help them out with the less. Some students have a little bit more paperwork that they have to do because maybe they got a speeding ticket or something. So we have to help them out. This is the form that you're supposed to. And so we aid them with all of that. Plus, we gave them a list of, this is employers that are hiring. We don't help people get jobs because we're a training institution, but we kind of guide them. We also have resumes that this is how you write your resume, So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah.
And I think I've got a good idea of what the answer to this next question is, but I still want to ask you.
No.
For you, what is the best part of your job?
You know something? Today's Friday. So my favorite day of the week, Friday. That's because we have OS classes graduating today. Or any time that we graduated yesterday, we had revalidation, so we graduated yesterday. So anytime that we're graduating students or we're helping students in any way, is a great day. That's pretty much what it is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then the last question I have, and again, this has been a really exciting conversation. I appreciate your time, but what would you? If you had to sum up in maybe two descriptive words, what would you want the impact of Bluewater to be on those students that come through? What do you hope happens for them because they came through your school?
First of all, that they have sufficient knowledge that when they go there, they're not lost. That we taught something that is, well, I know that we're teaching something that is very valuable, but my biggest thing is for them to convey to them is so they could actually have the start of a professional career. That they have the sufficient knowledge that we change them for a better way. So it's because it's not just academics and it's not just practical. It's a whole piece, you know. So, and it starts all the way from the way that you used to be. It's not what you used to be. You know, I always say that the changes in a person, a lot of people focus outside. Oh, it was because my mom. Oh, it's because because, you know, welfare. That doesn't have nothing to do with your future. The future lies on 5 inches. I always tell them, and it's right between your temples. You know, so yeah, that's what we try to achieve. You know, change that 5 inches. Let's change those 5 inches so you could actually prosper in life.
Yeah, that's great. That's all the questions I have. I really appreciate it.